Family can lead to a lot of different problems in relationships, especially elderly parents. That's what we're talking about. This is the email I got from a listener. Let's dive right in. Dear John, my wife and I have been married for 28 years, and now she wants her elderly mother to move in with us permanently. I understand her mom needs help, and I don't want to be cruel, but our marriage has already been strained for years, and I'm terrified this will turn our home into a full-time nursing facility. My wife says I'm being heartless and that family takes care of family, but I feel like no one is asking what this will do to us. How do I tell my wife I want to support her without sacrificing our marriage completely? Okay, the line that stands out in your email more than anything else is that your marriage has been strained for years. That's the real problem. The mom is not the problem. That is just not the problem. Your marriage has been strained for years. Why? How? That's the bigger question. If you're afraid that this is going to create a bigger strain, I mean, it's a legitimate fear. And by the way, this happens to a lot of couples. I don't do a lot of premarital counseling just because I'm not known for it. And the truth is, when you're engaged and you're looking to be married, it's one of the last things on your mind. You're not sitting there, picking out wedding venues and flowers and dresses saying, hey, maybe we should go to therapy for a little bit. But for the people who do come in, this is a question I actually ask as one of my many questions, kind of like before marriage. These are things you should find out about each other. One of them is, what would happen if one of our parents needed to live with us when they're older? And the truth is, my wife and I haven't even talked about it. I put it on the list, right? But I didn't have me when I was getting married, and it's never come up. We never really talked about it. I think there's an assumption on both parts that we would take them in, but it would be difficult for us because it's difficult for anybody. The truth is, having your parent or your elderly parent live with you is difficult, even in the best of circumstances, even in the best marriages, it's difficult. Introducing a new person who has physical, mental, emotional needs, sometimes financial needs, is a strain. You're not going to wake up one day and say, hey, we should foster a child. It's essentially the same. Once somebody gets to be elderly, they are essentially the same kind of demands as having a child. And it's not very common that people want to foster a child. It's a lot of responsibility. But the question really is about your marriage. So I'm going to look at this in two different ways. There's a part of your email, sir, that you wrote into me that sounds like you're really asking me, how do I convince my wife not to do this? And so I'm going to answer that cleanly. I'm going to answer that first. I don't think that's what you're really asking, though. You're really asking, how do I get my marriage back on track? That'll be the second thing. So we'll go after that first. But let's get the simpler question out of the way. If you're really sitting here asking me, how do I get my wife to just put her in a home, in a facility, and not live with us? The truth is, you can't really make that argument if your wife is already insistent on it, unless there's a medical need. So if your mother-in-law is diabetic, if she requires dialysis, if she has ambulatory issues, and the two of you aren't retired yet, and there's a very high fall risk of her, falling, breaking a hip because you're not around 24/7, then you really should put her in a home. If she's suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that, and she needs memory care, it's another reason you might want to consider putting her in a facility. You have to be able to because your wife has already made up her decision from an emotional standpoint. Family takes care of family. That's it. I could tell by the way you wrote it, she's not going to budge on the emotional question of, well, it's going to be too hard for us because it feels too selfish for her. So you lost that argument. If there's a different argument, financial, safety, medical, you can make that argument. And not only can you make that argument, I might even be on your side, right? If your mother-in-law is going to get better care from a facility, or there's a facility nearby where there's a huge social circle and your mother has struggling from maybe depression or some loneliness, a lot of those facilities can be a big boon to people really cheering up and finding connection and finding, a sense of community. So that could be very helpful. But if it's not, and it really is just about you nervous about it making your marriage that's already strained worse, you're going to lose that argument. I hate to tell you that, but you can convince her, you can twist her arm, you can kind of push her. As soon as that mom gets out of the house, she will be resentful, and she will start letting that resentment grow, and it will make your marriage even more strained, because she'll wake up every day saying, I don't know why I agreed with you. My mom should be with us. So if there is no medical basis, if there is no safety basis, emotional, mental, something, then I don't recommend pushing. Now let's deal with the other issue, which is you have a strained marriage. Your marriage doesn't feel like a marriage. There's something you're not getting out of it. There's something your wife's not getting out of it. And what you need to do is really ask yourself, what does a marriage feel like to me in the way I actually want it? There's many different approaches. Because you have another person coming into your house, I'm going to break it down in time-based. So sometimes when I'm working with couples or even individual one-on-one, I ask someone if they've ever considered how much time they actually need with their partner on a regular basis and what that time looks like in order for you to feel fulfilled and connected as a couple. I call it the time signature. So if you're familiar with music, sheet music, and you think of those, that bar staff that has the little marks on it and they put notes on a line, if you're familiar with that, it comes with a rhythm, a time signature. There's a rhythm to feeling like a couple. When you are just on your own, so just the two of you, dating, newlyweds, or in retirement without children and without as much job responsibility, those two eras, and obviously some people have a lot of that in the middle if they don't have children and they're affluent, but those two eras require more time. So the more external pressure and responsibilities you have in your life, the less time you have for each other. My wife and I, she's a therapist, she's a psychologist, she sees lots of clients. I see a lot of clients in my work, and we don't have that much time. We have 4 young children aged 8 to 14 at the moment. There's a lot of requirements. There's a lot of responsibility. We have a dog we have to take care of on top of it all. Our kids go to school pretty far away, so the commute is also a bit of a challenge. We don't have that much time. If I get 20 minutes with my wife every day during a normal weekday, I'm actually pretty happy. That feels substantial. If you're using the time correctly, you could spend 6 hours with someone and feel like you didn't get to know anything about them. Or you can, grow resentful. But let's say we can get to the effectiveness of the time and just say, every time we hang out, it feels good. What do you really need? The bars on the, music scale, the staff, you have to think of it as daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. What do you need? For me, like I told you, on a day-to-day basis, 20 minutes seems like the minimum where I feel like I'm really connected. If I don't have 20 minutes with my wife, I feel lonely. I feel disconnected from her. It would take me no more than 1 or 2 days to feel like I haven't seen you in a while. And I could have seen you 2 days ago. And for a friend, that's like nothing. But for my wife, that's what I need. Every couple's different. Some couples only need a couple minutes, a hello and a goodbye kiss, and how was your day, and that's it. For couples who are really busy. Let's say you're a state senator, or you're even the president, or you're, an ambassador to another country. You might not have that much time, right? If you're traveling a lot, I work in Los Angeles. This is my actual office, not a background. I work out of Calabasas currently and have for many years. A lot of entertainers come through because of the proximity to Los Angeles. If you're an actor with 12-hour days and magic hour where you're going 14, 15, 16 hours, right? You're not going to see your spouse as much. If you're a traveling comedian, magician, ventriloquist, you're not going to see it. So if you're a speaker and you go do corporate speaking, these people don't have the luxury of being under the same roof. They just don't. So you have to ask yourself, what do I need daily? What do I need weekly? What do I need monthly? What do I need yearly? Again, daily, a certain amount of time. Weekly, on the weekends. We go on a date once a week, or we go out once a week, right? Monthly, generally speaking, I like to say, can you spend an entire day together? Now, an entire day doesn't really mean 24 hours or even 18 hours or 16 hours. It really means 6 consistent hours without screens, without kids, without other couples. And you're just laughing together. There has to be a sense of play. If the only thing you talk about when you're together is how miserable you are, or how you have to clean out the garage. That's not being married. You need to find a way to get laughter, fun, fantasy. What do you think our life will be like in 5 years, 10 years? Where would you like to travel if we had money? Even if you guys don't, talking about it is, a certain percentage of the excitement is just living in it in your mind. My wife and I often will go to the beach without the kids for, a few hours plus the drive over. And it's really restorative. It's important. Yearly is more extravagant. You go out away for a few nights or a week, a vacation if you can afford it. You don't have to fly, right? You can go an hour away in the car, but you have to get out of town. Most people kind of need that once a year. So ask yourself what's really missing. And then as soon as you are able to say, like, what do you want daily, weekly, monthly, yearly in the relationship? Talk to your wife about it. What's the time signature that both of you agree on? By the way, physical intimacy should be in here. How many times a month? How many times a week? You should talk about it. It doesn't mean that just because you said it, you're going to get it tomorrow, but it's something to strive for. It's something to work towards, right? Then put it down in writing. All of that. This is what I want. Daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Here's our time signature. Have her say, yeah, that's good. Sign it or email it to each other saying, does this sound good to you? Yes. Get it in writing. Because guess what? 6 months, a year from now, if the mother-in-law is living with you and none of that's being done, you can bring it back out and you could say, hey, this doesn't seem like we're actually accomplishing this. And all this stuff doesn't take this much time. Even if your mother-in-law is non-ambulatory, she has issues, you're going to find 30 minutes together. You're going to find an hour or two for a date night once a week. You're going to find once a month you can go away for 6 hours, have somebody watch your mother-in-law. All of this is accomplishable. It's just a question of why it's not happening in your relationship. If you have a question you want me to answer, there are instructions in the description below. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and have a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe.